Hey everyone, it is Sunday, February 25th, 2018, and it's time to go to work on music. It's been a very good day overall. I'm in a good place and excited for a productive session as usual. I am a little bit behind today, just still adjusting to some of the logistics of travel time and getting to and from my current workspace from my new living space, soon to be my new workspace. And it's definitely a lot better than yesterday, but not perfect, and that's just not okay with me. And perfection, I think, really is what I want as far as my time management in my life goes. I mean, people talk about like there's no such thing as perfect and stuff like that, and I agree 100% for certain things. But for other things, there is such a thing as being, perfectly on time versus late or something like that. So what I'm going to do is jump into the online class front here. I actually left my computer that I would normally use that has the ebook that I'm working through at home. And what I'm going to do is instead just dive into some master classes so that I don't have to go back home and come back, because it's like 30 minutes round trip. And then what I'm going to do is during my break today, when I would normally have taken that, I'm going to drive back home and get that computer, because that's the same computer that I use to track drums. So I was going to listen back to some drum takes today and then knock out a drum track. But I will probably do that in the second half of today, and then in the first half I'll work on the guitar solo, because I'm 99.9% sure I have everything I need to do to get that done. So I'm going to finish a guitar solo today, going to finish a drum bridge section, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. Thanks for bearing with me as I go through this transition. It's definitely not going quite the way that I imagined that it would yet, but I'm going to fix that, and it's going to be great. So let me know if you have any thoughts or questions as we go. I always love hearing from you guys, and I'll update you in a few with what I accomplish. Okay, overall, really good first half of the day. Jumped into the online class front and just did a little snippet of the Steph Curry Masterclass. And the main takeaway from that was just be your own biggest fan. When things are going poorly, you got to believe in yourself. And he says, no one's going to believe in you unless you believe in yourself. And it's all about knowing what you're capable, like in my own words, it's all about knowing what I'm capable of and holding myself to a certain standard of performance and really trusting myself that I can deliver there. And when I fall short, it's okay to be discouraged, it's okay to have disappointment, but it's important to rebound from that as quickly as possible, because that discouragement doesn't really make me better. It might motivate me to work a little harder or something like that. That'll make me better, in which case it's fine. But I think he is mostly just talking about accepting the negativity that comes with holding yourself to a high standard, but not dwelling on it, if that makes sense. Then I jumped into the Annie Leibovitz class. That's going great, and the main takeaway from today was just making sure that if you go to photograph a subject, that you do your research and you really make the photograph about them, something that's about their life or their thing. If they're a poet, you read their poetry and you design the photograph around that. And having some type of concept or plan when you go into the photo shoot. She also talks about being in the moment and just being willing to improvise. Like if you can just see the subject is ready, just sitting them down in a room, don't worry about the light rig, and just find some reasonable light and just boom, 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 and be in the moment and just communicate, and really dance with the subject. I think those are my own words, and I just thought that was really beautifully said. The other important takeaway there was she's got this quote in one of the PDFs that says the quality of your photograph is about what's in it, not necessarily about the technology you use. So that should be the last thing on your mind, which just hit me so hard because I was thinking like, oh, first thing I should do if I'm going to get into photography is learn about cameras. But actually, that's the opposite according to her, which I just thought was so funny. It's like first you should understand how to take pictures, and then the camera doesn't really matter as much, which I just thought, it just hit me, and it was just like, oh, duh, that's the novice perspective versus the master's perspective. So I then jumped into a quick guitar practice that was great, just more note name memorization, more minor pentatonic stuff, and it felt really good to just play some music after a few days of getting kind of sandbagged by some other stuff, and just really allowing that stuff to affect me, which I'm upset about, but I've been open with that already, with you guys already about that. And then I was considering tracking the solo first, but actually I think the best thing to do today, just given where I am in the session right now, is take the loss on the drum tracking front, which also I can see is a mistake to avoid in the future. But I don't want to reward myself for making these types of mistakes. I want to just be like, okay, that time spent, it's gone, it's over. Like, you're never getting that 30 minutes back, so just move on. And that's a challenge for me to do historically, but I know I can get there, and I know that long term that's going to help me, even if it hurts a little bit in the short term. So sat down on the drums, played a little bit, that felt great, and now I'm actually going to take my break, go back home to my new home, get some food, which I forgot earlier, get the computer, which I forgot earlier, come back and track the guitar solo here. So I'll catch up with you guys in a few. All right, excellent second half of the day. I mean, phenomenally good. Just jumped right into working on the guitar solo and just sat down and got to work, got in the zone, warmed up, busted out the metronome, slowed the solo down, sped it back up using the click, focused on my process, focused on counting every single beat, focused on really delivering the emotional message that I wanted to deliver. Like, I really sat down and reminded myself, like, okay, what's the overall message of this song? What's the message of this section of the song? What do I want this solo in particular to bring to that message overall? Because it is a huge focal point of that section, obviously. And yeah, just focused on like trying to keep my body mechanics good with all that, and then listening to the track really deeply. And I'm really just working on making those four things, focusing on counting and staying locked in there rhythmically, focusing on my body alignment as much as possible, and sometimes feeling the track is about expressing that emotion physically for me, and then really embodying the emotion of the track while really deeply listening. Just balling all that into one concept is really the place I'm trying to take my process, because that seems to be the way I get the most consistently great results. And it does take time to work myself up to that. Like, this solo took a few days of kind of chipping away to really make that happen. But now that I'm getting clearer on that's the place where I need to ultimately arrive to get what I want take-wise, I'm starting to get there a little faster, which is really, really exciting. So yeah, I just got deep in the zone. I could just tell, like, it's a completely different sensation, body and mind, and energy-wise, versus when I arrived in the session, just kind of a little flustered from dealing with all the new logistics of my life right now. But I'm just proud of myself for showing up, sitting down, creating the zone, and just knocking stuff out and getting things done. And it's so satisfying. So yeah, I got a few good takes. I think plenty of them could be keepers. funnily enough, I took a couple days off from listening to the track, got back in there with a fresh perspective, listened to the couple takes I had, and I was like, shoot, these are already really good. Maybe I don't really need to do this, but I really like taking that extra step. There's this fresh confidence I have when I have a take where I feel like, okay, that could be good enough, where I feel like I can keep pushing further more confidently. Like I'm not worried about just getting something usable. It's like I'm like, okay, I've got usable, now I can go for, insane or something, and I can feel like I can take a little more risks or something like that. I can be a little more daring, and I feel like that's where I tend to get the best stuff. So I'm really excited, and getting a final take is always a huge, huge victory and a huge, rush of satisfaction and accomplishment and just good neurochemical soup in the brain, which is possibly what it's all about. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys are out there grinding towards your goals, enjoying the process, whether you're dealing with a lot, whether you're not dealing with very much, whether your struggles are internal, external, whatever. I hope you guys are just making time to do what you want to do with your life today. I hope you guys are just doing that, just doing it now. And I'm just excited to come back tomorrow and keep grinding. See you guys then.